The turnout for Boston in yesterday's election was only 9%. That's hardly surprising given the positions up for voting and the unusual scheduling. But our guest believes there's a better way to engage voters. We'd like to welcome the founder of the New Democracy Coalition, Kevin Peterson. Thank you very much for being with us, Kevin.
Oh, thank you for inviting me.
In this case, the turnout was so low that you were bemoaning it even before it happened. Explain why you think we ought to be able to do better.
Well, I think we ought to do better because things are so bad, and there needs to be solutions to these systemic problems. My take on it is that civic literacy is so low. In other words, people don't know how valuable the voting process is and when to engage in the voting process and to do it consistently over time. Most voters in this state, and we saw this yesterday, stayed home because they didn't see the governor on a ticket or they didn't see the president on a ticket, not realizing that there were important offices that were up for election and re-election that they need to be focusing on. State representative, state senate seats, the sheriff's seat was open. These are very critical offices that really propel the community and make it its best. Sadly, a lot of people stayed home yesterday.
Well, you know, we had most of the candidates in at least the competitive races on our show. I'm sure a lot of these candidates were at the community forums, and you know, they had some
But
groundwork.
the bad thing about the community forums is the candidates' campaigns and volunteers fill up those community forums. The regular citizen, the average Joe, aren't showing up at these forums because in some ways they're alienated from local politics, and that's why we got the result, the dismal result we got yesterday.
Now, one of the toughest sells, it's one thing to say, you know, elect a new state rep and get people interested in that, but Register of Deeds, I mean, how do you get people excited about something like that?
Well, it's not something you get excited about. It's really the chore of citizens in terms of engaging in their community, in their city, in their county. They should know about these things. It's almost like paying your gas bill. That's not an exciting chore, but you got to do it. And if you're going to be successful in terms of home economics, so in terms of your political economy. People need to know the basics of what to do and what's important and why they should be engaged. Register of Deeds is not the sexiest thing in the world, but it's something that we as citizens need to take care of.
We're talking with Kevin Peterson from the New Democracy Coalition. This is one case in the race for Register of Deeds. There were 7 Democrats in the primary. One of them was a lot better known because he was on the city council for a while. Is there any other way to counteract that situation and get a different result?
I don't think so. I think part of the work in terms of campaigning or getting yourself known is the hard work of being a candidate, pulling up your sleeves and really introducing yourself to the voters. And then on the other end, as I just mentioned, the hard work of the citizen is to be cognizant of what's going on, be vigilant, and participate. So it doesn't surprise anyone who pays attention to these races that former Boston City Councilor Stephen Murphy won the race yesterday. He was well known. He has done hard work with voters for almost 20 years, and before that worked with a famous city councilor, Dapper O'Neill. So he's been a presence. In some ways, you know, he's a little less than iconic, but he's certainly well known throughout the city. So that's the result of an elected official, a politician, sort of doing his due diligence. Citizens now need to do their due diligence.
What I did find a little surprising in this race was that Katie Ford came in second, only a few percentage points behind him. She'd never run in Boston before. She's originally from some other state, and so if she can do that, then it seems that, you know, some other people ought to be able to challenge.
Yeah, certainly other people can. It depends on your personality, the energy that you bring to the campaign. She's a woman, so she stood out, I'm sure, a little because of that, and that's a good thing. And my understanding is that she did really hard work. So I'm not surprised of how well she did.
Turning to the open seat, it's actually not open yet in Roxbury, but Gloria Fox is stepping down as state rep in the 7th Suffolk District. And That was a bit of a surprise with China Tyler coming out ahead.
It was a surprise because China Tyler was a legislative aide for State Senator Sonia Chang Diaz, and fairly unknown to most voters in that district. She's running up against Monica Cannon, who had been endorsed by Tito Jackson.
She worked for Jackson.
Right, yeah. And she had worked for Jackson also. And she was running up against Meredith Tuitt, who worked for Gloria Fox, the state representative Gloria Fox, the incumbent, who endorsed her. So China Tyler is a breath of fresh air, someone who beat the establishment.
No, but it does surprise me. What was going on with the, I mean, because when we say the establishment and the people they know, their circles, these are not disengaged people, but maybe yesterday they were disengaged.
The establishment?
Yes.
I'm not sure what they did. I'm not sure how China Tyler won. But she did. She went up against Steve Tompkins, I believe, had endorsed Monica Cannon. He did well across that district. I think the district was looking for a new voice, and she projected a message that was attractive. I didn't see her campaigning a lot throughout Roxbury, but certainly she was connecting in some ways enough to give her a victory and get her into the final. Interesting
that for the second time in about a year, we have seen an established figure, at least a piece of the establishment, outvoted by someone who favors charter school expansion.
Andrea Campbell and Charles Yancey.
Yes, right.
Andrea Campbell supports charter school. Right. Allegedly, it's still not very
her vote
clear.
in the city council would lead me to infer that.
Right.
And then you have China Tyler.
Yeah. I think they may be reflecting something within those districts, parents within those districts, who really are not ideologically tied to yes or no on the question of charter schools. They want the best schools. So I think both of those candidates are tapping into a sentiment where I'm not getting involved in a fight between the unions and others. I want the best for my child. I see that, and I hear parents say that, and they don't get into the squabble around this charter school debate. They just want the best schools. And I think China, Ms. Tyler, and Ms. Campbell are tapping into that sentiment, which is real. Thank
you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Kevin Peterson from the New Democracy Coalition.